Sonic the Hedgehog is such a cool character, and with such a unique design too. I mean, you'd be able to recognize him in any form.
I'm Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog!
No, you ain't!
Whether you love or hate him, Sonic is a wildly popular character with not such a good track record of games. Sonic can have great games, but he also has some amazingly bad ones. Sonic Unleashed is very controversial. Some people say it's slightly above average, while others think it's trash. I remember playing this game as a kid, but I never got far because I found this game to be difficult. I always wanted to come back and beat this game though.
So why not just do that now? Why not return to this game after 17 years to see what I was missing out of? Turns out, I was missing out on the experience of a lifetime.
The game starts off in space, with Super Sonic defeating Dr. Robotnik's newest plan, thus ending the game. Robotnik traps him and uses Super Sonic's power to awaken this evil entity that lives in the Earth called Dark Gaia. Also, some evil energy fuses with Sonic, turning him into a Werehog.
And can I just say, Werehog Sonic's design is amazing. He looks so cool. I mean, just look at him go.
Sonic plummets towards Earth and meets this little red guy who has lost all of his memory. So Sonic tries to help him out by asking people in the nearby town, but with Dark Gaia awakened, the Earth has split into different parts and separated from its core, which I feel like all life on Earth would just immediately cease to exist. But no, everyone's fine. They're just going about their day selling ice cream. And it's because of the ice cream that Sonic gives the little red guy his name, Chip.
Chip is annoying. He has the annoying character trope of, oh boy, I sure do love food. I just can't think straight without food. Food is my whole personality. He does get more character development later on, but he will also get more annoying as well.
The way the game works is you have a capital and a level hub. In the capital, you can go around and talk to locals. It's pretty boring stuff. The level hub is where you can play actual levels, and I can finally say everything I love about this game. The game looks good. The graphics are clean with great textures. Even when you travel around the world, everything seems like it belongs in the Sonic universe. Granted, Sonic just kinda takes place in the real world, but like the citizens of every country is unique and it all just looks good. It goes with what I said before with Werehog Sonic looking so good. Every new character design in this game, they did an incredible job on. Now granted, there's not a lot of new characters, but they all look good. And finally, the music. Every song stood out and has a lot of bangers in its soundtrack. I enjoyed the songs, and to me, they didn't become annoying after being heard over and over again.
And that is all of Sonic Unleashed's redeeming qualities. It's all downhill from here.
Levels are split into daytime levels and nighttime levels because Sonic changes form depending if it's day or not. I forgot to mention that. Daytime levels are just classic Sonic gameplay. You just gotta go fast to the end of the level. There are multiple branching paths within the level allowing you to replay it and see something new, but I have multiple issues with these levels that I'll get into later. Then there are nighttime levels as a Werehog Sonic. And what did they decide to do? That's right, they turned Sonic into a beat 'em up. Just complete whiplash, a complete 180 difference from normal Sonic gameplay.
I get it. They wanted it to be different. They wanted to maybe even experiment a little bit. But this is not who Sonic is. You have built up a reputation of Sonic being a fast-paced platformer, and you decided to bring that fast-paced action to a screeching halt.
Okay, but let's get into the nighttime levels. You go around beating up Dark Gaia minions and performing some platforming. It's very repetitive to beat up all the enemies in the area, then platform to the next one, and beat up even more enemies. As you fight, you'll gain energy towards your Unleashed gauge, which, when activated, it makes you invincible and makes you hit harder. Great to use against a boss or in a pinch. Overall, it's a good mechanic. What isn't good is that Werehog Sonic is so slow. Sonic moves slower, the platforming takes longer, even the puzzles take so long to complete that these nighttime levels can take up to half an hour to complete.
But the nighttime levels aren't the only ones suffering. As with both day and nighttime levels, they both suffer from the gameplay.
It is clunky. For Day Sonic, you hold down the joystick for 1 second and he goes Mach speed, making it difficult to steer him in the direction you want him to go, which sucks for trying to get to specific routes in the level because he just speeds right past them without giving you time to react. So you either need to stop Sonic and turn around or just do the level again. For Werehog Sonic, it feels weird to walk him around because he turns so slowly, so I found it difficult to face specific enemies and would just get ganged up on by every enemy. me. Also, he just doesn't jump straight up and down. He moves forward a little bit, which I found that to be weird. Not to say jumping is easy, as they mess up platforming in this game. Usually in 3D games, there's the player's shadow that doesn't behave like a real shadow. It is always under the player so that while you're in the air, you can tell what your relative position is. They just don't have that in this game, and it makes it so much harder to judge where I am in the air. But the worst part about all this is the camera. It's usually good in the daytime levels, but at night, I end up fighting with the camera more than with the enemies. Sometimes you have complete control over it, but other times it's in a fixed position, and not even a good one at that, as I can't see what I'm trying to do, or it changes to platforming, so now I have to hold down a completely different direction if I want to make the jump safely.
So I will be fighting with the game for the whole game. And it somehow gets worse.
Tails has a lead of someone who might be able to help us fix the planet, so we take his plane to find Professor Pickle. And this plane level sucks. It's just 100% QuickTime events. Not only this level, but the whole game is filled with QuickTime events. The daytime levels have QuickTime events. The nighttime levels have QuickTime events. Everywhere you look, there's a QuickTime event.
What the? With how frequent the QuickTime events show up, it gets annoying really fast. Also, the sound it makes if you succeed one is a doorbell sound. Like, why?
Turns out the professor has been kidnapped and taken to Missouri, so I go there to save him. It's just a typical nighttime level, but I should mention that every level has these hidden sun and moon medals for you to collect, and they are necessary to progress the game. So I need to make sure to collect as many as I can as I play. But I was able to progress nicely without much hassle. It's not too hard to find them. I get the professor and his data back, and he explains to me about the Gaia manuscripts. Apparently, this has happened before, but it's too early for it to happen again, so Dark Gaia isn't at full power yet. So I need to find ancient temples and restore power to the Chaos Emeralds, which will put the planet back together. Somehow.
Dude, I'm telling you, the Chaos Emeralds have the power to heal the planet.
Okay. But like, how does that work?
Just trust the science, man.
I track Eggman down to Missouri, where he tries to use an egg beetle to stop me, and the daytime bosses are a lot of fun. Just the classic Sonic boss formula of throwing your entire body at the enemy until they die is so much fun. I even found an ancient temple, and wouldn't you know it, it restores power to the Chaos Emeralds and puts the piece of the planet back into place. Everyone should still be dead, but you know, whatever. I was told to go find the second temple in Holoska, but I went to Chunnan instead. I go through the nighttime level with some bad platforming, and I should also mention, remember how I said, I enjoyed the songs, and to me, they didn't become annoying after being heard over and over again. That is true for all but one song, the nighttime combat song. I hate this song, because the start of it is really annoying, just a ba 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 ba, and you hear it at every single fight in this game, and there's a lot of fighting in this game! But I beat that level and the actual Phoenix shows up, getting possessed by Dark Gaia and becomes evil. So after defeating it, I get to the second temple and move on to Spagonia. I did a nighttime level and I just...
Why do you have a big barrel for no reason? Like, I get it. The town's famous for his wine. I get it. But it had no reason to be there to begin with. It's not even like it's a proper storage area. Oh, of course, store the big barrel of wine on the rooftops to enhance the flavor. Yes, how could I have been mistaken? That makes perfect sense. Grizzly, get the fine wine. We got guests coming.
This is always such a pain.
What's worse is that there's two of them! The platforming really shows off in this level as I try to climb this tower, but with the camera and the fact that Sonic just sometimes doesn't want to grab the edge, I keep falling. The platforming also shines in the daytime levels as well. I get it. Sometimes it's my fault. But other times, the game just wants me dead. He's on a rail. How does he fall? Anyways, the boss for this area is a fish, and that is the third temple done. Finally, I go to Holoska.
Something that deeply upsets me is that in the nighttime levels, Sonic is affected by the ice as he slips around on it. That makes perfect sense. Ice is slippery. He has spikes on his shoes! I see them! They are right there! Why is he slipping on the ice? He shouldn't, because of the spikes on his shoes. It's just a little detail that would have been nice to implement.
In Holoska, the first daytime level isn't too bad, even cinematic at times. but the second one is the worst. So Sonic can run so fast that he can run on water. Totally cool, but he can't swim, so if he slows down at all, he sinks and you immediately die. Everything in this level is out to hurt you. Remember how I said that Sonic is hard to control due to his speed? Well, because of that, he keeps running into spikes, immediately killing him. So you die a lot, and you have to memorize this level. But then they just have falling icebergs at the end just to keep on killing you. I don't know how I struggled so much, but the game starts becoming hard, and what's worse is that the developers know it, bringing me to another reason why I hate this game.
There are these areas that are overly difficult, and the developers know they are difficult, because they'll usually put a 1-up at the very beginning of the segment so you don't lose all of your lives in this one particular area. But if you're going to go out of your way to put a 1-up at the very beginning of the segment, why not just make the segment easier? You literally don't need to keep it as hard. You have the ability to make it easier, but you decide not to.
It infuriates me, them not caring about the player's time at all. They have the ability to make these segments easier, but they don't. People want to enjoy the game that they play. I'm not saying I don't want a challenge in a video game, but these segments are not a challenge. They are game-ending hard. Had it not been for the 1-up, you would not be able to practice these parts and would just keep getting game over. That is not a fun little challenge in a level. That is an insult that they needed to add the 1-up to prevent people from getting so many game overs. It's not like with From Software games where the whole purpose is to throw yourself at a challenge until you beat it. No, it's Sonic! It's supposed to be simple.
Call me James Rolfe because I'm the angry video game nerd. Actually, don't call me that. That's not my real name.
I defeated Dark Moray, which was actually a good boss fight, having to freeze him at the right time so that I can hit his weak spots, and went on to Shamar's first daytime level. It's pretty good. Some mess ups on the game part, but still pretty good. The second level, however, was just quick time events. The quick time events just don't stop, but the nighttime level was bad. Up to this point, the whole game has been to defeat every enemy in the area and then move on to the next. So imagine my surprise when I defeat all of the enemies in the area and nothing happens. I thought the game had soft locked me, so I restarted the level. And then the same thing happened again and again. I didn't know what to do, so I searched up this level and realized that there were hidden gems for a puzzle I had to solve. I blame how dark the game is for me not being able to see these gems.
But you know who else I blame? Chip. I said earlier that Chip gets more annoying as the game goes on. This is because he serves as the hint navigator. But his hints are just stating the obvious.
Zero, I think the glowing spot on that dragon is his weak spot.
Oh, you think?
Hey kiddo, you should avoid those fiery breath attacks.
It's annoying to hear him say something that anyone could have figured out, like a weak point. But when I needed him to tell me that there's no more level and I should go back to solve a puzzle, he doesn't show up. At least the boss is pretty cool. You don't actually attack him. You need to push blocks to the other side of the field to damage him. It's different, and I actually like it.
And this is where most people quit the game, because the achievement for this temple is a rare achievement, meaning 90% of players who have ever played this game decided they just had enough and quit the game before they even got to this point. And I don't blame them.
I made it to Atabad and ran into an immediate issue. I don't have enough sun medals to play the daytime level, so I had to go back to the other levels and get more medals for the first time in this game, which wasn't too difficult to do. But this level isn't that special, and neither is the boss, it's just the Beetlebot again. At this temple, Chip finally learns about his identity through God, I guess. He is Light Gaia, and his sole purpose is to stop Dark Gaia every couple of millions of years.
Wow. That's really interesting. It's just, I really don't care.
It's time for the final level. I ride another quick time event filled plane ride with Tails to Eggman Land. And finally, this level does something very creative and has both daytime and nighttime aspects in the same level. This does make the level extremely long, and if I get a game over in any part of it, I need to start over from the beginning again. And this level is hard. There's a difficult roller coaster section, and I know it's difficult because the developers gave me a 1-up at the beginning of this segment instead of just, making it a little bit easier. A difficult tightrope section, again, 1-up at the very beginning, doesn't excuse it for being this hard. The worst part about this level is that up to this point, the night segments have always been defeat every enemy in the room and then moving on until this room. I was struggling trying to defeat every enemy, but I didn't know that they would just keep spawning, and I needed to find a secret room with a lever and just walk past all of the enemies. And they do this twice in the level! Luckily, the rest of the level isn't that bad.
And this is just the first part of the finale. It gets better, but then it gets a lot worse.
Got to the final temple, and Eggman has one more trick up his sleeve with Egg Dragoon. It looks like a great boss fight, but you can just keep near him and dodge most of his attacks while draining his health down far enough to do the quick time events, defeating him and saving the world.
But wait, there's more.
Dark Gaia has taken on his form, and so Chip summons the 7 ancient temples to form a giant mech. And it's the worst fight of all time. Because I am so far away for some reason, I need to fly all the way to Dark Gaia as slow as possible while dodging rocks and lasers. Somehow really difficult towards the latter half of the fight because of how many rocks he throws at a time. And it's better to time up a punch with the rock, but that doesn't get me to him faster, so I would try to dodge the rock only to get hit and die and have to redo it all over again. Once I get up to his eyes, then it's Sonic's turn, where I have to quickly get to the end of a track, but I don't know any of the obstacles in my way, so I keep hitting them and running out of time. The clunky controls really don't help out here, but I hit him 3 times and he is defeated.
But wait, there's still more.
Dark Gaia reaches his perfect form, so Sonic goes supersonic to stop him, but he has a force field around him now. So I just hit his snake heads that pop out in order to damage him. Issue: there are rocks all over the shield that I can't see in time to react, so I just end up running into them and dying. Or I will be slow and take my time, but then Chip ends up dying while I'm still waiting for the final head to pop out. It's difficult for no reason. Anyways, the force field comes down and just one more quick time event for good measure, and Dark Gaia is defeated. For real this time. The planet gets back together and Chip is gone as Team Sonic celebrates their victory.
This was a bad game. Like, I hated this game. Like, I really, really hated this game. Like, I hope I'm being as clear as possible when I say I hated this game.
When I mentioned an experience of a lifetime in the beginning of the video, I meant a bad experience. It was a great idea, executed poorly. I love the idea of Sonic becoming a Werehog and changing the gameplay from the normal Sonic formula, but Werehog Sonic was so slow. I get it, he's not gonna be as fast as daytime Sonic, but he can be faster. You can make a quick pace beat 'em up, but they didn't do that. They just wanted as many QuickTime events as possible. The platforming was difficult, again, because they chose not to include a shadow below your character so that you know where you are while you're in the air. And when you're not trying to jump, you are going to be constantly fighting. There are so many fights, and they are all so slow. But you do have the best combo in the game of picking up a large enemy and just slamming them on the ground left and right.
Now, I might get some hate for this, but I've never played any other 3D Sonic game, so I have no comparison point for the daytime levels. I don't know if they're normal, good, or bad compared to the other games, but I can't say it was difficult to control.
It's because of how fast he can go, which is like the whole point. You gotta go fast. It just sucks not being able to get every medal without having to completely stop and turn around or just redo the level. I did have issues with the camera transitioning from a 2D section to a 3D section, but it wasn't that frequent. I'm not the only one who thinks that this game is not worth it, as players speak through the achievements. Now, it is absolutely natural that most people will not complete a game once they start playing it, but not to this much of a degree. I'll be generous and say 10% of people make it to the 5th temple, as that was the first rare achievement, which means that 90% completed about 57% of the game and then decided to quit. About halfway through the game, you lost 90% of your players, and it's not like it's a brand new game, no. This game is 17 years old. It sold 2.45 million units, and 90% of them never got more than halfway through.
And it's not all bad. Like I said, I love the character designs. I mean, just look at him! He looks so cool!
I love Dark Gaia's design. I love Gaia's minions design. I loved every environment I was in, the NPCs, the game, it just looks good. Especially for a 2008 game, the graphics are good and the game doesn't lag even during the high speeds. There are a lot of loading screens, however, even in between cutscenes. They don't last long, but they are everywhere. and the music was really good, except for the combat song that got annoying. But what I loved the most is the level victory music, because if you get the worst possible rank, the band plays the song horribly and it's hilarious. The story wasn't that interesting. It's bizarre that the planet broke apart and no one died, and I really couldn't care about Chip. Big whoop, you're Light Guy, you're destined to fight Dark Guy every couple of million of years to save the planet. Why don't you do something interesting with your life? They didn't even have that many Sonic characters other than Tails. Amy was here, but do you know what she did? Absolutely nothing.
But it was the gameplay that ruined this game for me and how slow the nighttime levels were. Sure, the daytime levels were good, but when 50% of your game is good, that's still a failing grade. How do I describe Sonic Unleashed? Imagine a bad game. Alright, you have now imagined Sonic Unleashed. Thank you for listening to me rant. I'll see you in the next video.